Yeah, I'm gonna take you back to about, I say it was the summer of 89, maybe 90. Yeah, I was maybe about 16 years old, 17 years old, and I used to live in this apartment complex. We moved over there, I was on the run, I was running some serious shit that I mentioned before, and I was running, and they chased me all the way to Arizona, matter of fact. They went up there, the detectives looking for me, they went all the way to Arizona, so they wanted me pretty bad. Well, I was in this apartment complex, and it was pretty big. It maybe had like 300 units in it, and it was real cool, The manager right there got high and everything, so I sat right in just fine, and at that time I was moving, some shit, and there was no glass back then or none of that shit. It was a lemon drop and peanut butter crank. I was moving that shit. And I was doing it, and I met these broads along the way from dealing dope, I met these girls, and they had their own little homegirl set, They were from a hood right there where I was from, they're enemies, but these were their homegirls, and I didn't mind kicking it with them, so we're kicking it. And I was hearing, through other people that one of these girls, she was real devious, she used to set fools up, get fools caught up, do some scandalous shit. Well, I guess after a while when I was fucking around with them, I think I messed with two of them and they got upset, and one of them went and told her homeboy that, that I was over here in this spot and it was kind of close to their hood. And I used to lock the gates in the morning and shit, let people out to work. I had the whole apartment set up, we used to call it the Roman Empire. That's what we used to call it. And we're doing it up in there, and I had got my wife pregnant and shit, so we're about to have a baby shower, So we have this baby shower, and I'm inside the house. I remember I'm inside the house, and I'm inside the kitchen, and I'm rolling some joints on the counter into the kitchen, and I hear a knock at the door, so I look to see what it is, and in walks these four dudes. I remember their faces, man, it was like yesterday, it came back to my head that this had occurred with me. Because everything I'll give you on tape, it's the truth, man, I ain't trying to sit here and bullshit nobody. Well, I'm in there rolling a joint, and they walk in, and I recognize these dudes, man. I'm like, oh, fuck, man. They got me, man. They got me, because these dudes are always got heat on them, They're always looking to get somebody, So they already had some fools that they chalked up along the way. And I'm like, damn, man, they got me, man. These motherfuckers got me. I'm inside this house. I don't got nothing on me, where I'm at a baby shower. Well, and they walk right past me, and we walk past me. My little homeboy from my hood, he's sitting on one of those lazy boys, and they walk up to a dude, walks up to him and tells him, hey, calls him by his first name, and he tells him, I know we know each other for a long time, but you know what, man, fuck your hood. He tells my little homie, right? So I'm looking like, damn, my little homie says, man, fuck your hood. My little homie gets up, my homie tells him, let's go outside. So I thought dude was gonna do my homie right there, because dude has a reputation of just taking food straight out the box. So I'm like, man, he tells my little homie that. They start to walk outside, and as they're walking out behind me, I'm looking for anything to grab, I'm thinking, damn, I gotta get something. And I noticed the chopping block, and in the kitchen they got this big old block of wood, and it has all the knives in it, So I grab the biggest handle I see, and I pull it out, and it's that big ass butcher knife. So as they walk out, I grab the butcher knife, I stop my little cousin on the way out, I tell him, here, put in your jacket, He puts in his jacket. I go to grab the next knife, and I'm pulling out, and man, when it comes out, it's that fucking flimsy ass one, the one you cut the bread with. I'm like, oh my God, what did I pull out? I went to pull the next one out, it didn't come out. I pulled it up, bam, here it came. It was the big meat cleaver, the one the Chinese, used to chop all the fish and shit. Well, I get that one, I slide it in my jacket, boom, and I make my way outside. As I'm getting outside, it's a baby shower, so, a lot of girls are there. My aunts, my cousins, everybody, it's my wife's baby shower, so they're all there. And I see my aunt in the middle of my cousin and this dude, these four guys, and she's telling the guy, kick back, So as I'm walking up, I'm looking, and I see this one guy just reach back and say, man, fuck you, bitch. And he fucking slaps my aunt. Now, as soon as he slapped my aunt, I was like, oh, fuck. I knew that this dude was in trouble, man. I had to break this guy out. That's my aunt, I ain't trying to hear shit from my uncle. Now his little sister got slapped. I ain't trying to get fucked off. So I walk up to these fools, and as soon as he slaps my aunt, I'm already up on them. I reach out to grab dude. And when I reach out to grab dude, I grab him by his shirt, and I'm gonna take this fool's head off. I got that meat cleaver, I'm gonna fucking chop his head right off. He slapped my aunt. Anybody that knows when you're growing up in the hood, when you got family members from the hood, if somebody puts hands on your family member, that's a big no-no in anybody's book. I could imagine that's a no-no in my book. So when I go to chop this fool's face right off, my aunt goes to slap this dude, and we we connect at the same time, boom, and I get my aunt's hand like about, I say about this far down. I mean, it's a big ass wound, but as soon as I hit it, I kind of stop. And when I pull out, man, I'm like, oh fuck, I hear her scream, but I still got dude by the shirt. So I get dude and I'm so mad now, I just start swinging this shit. And you know, when I was swinging it, I actually didn't feel anything hitting, no flares, no shoe, nothing. I mean, pants, nothing, I didn't feel shit. Well, as soon as I'm hitting him, I see one of the other 4 dudes, he's running up towards me. So I pushed dude to the side. I guess when I pushed dude to the side, my little cousin was behind me with that big ass butcher knife and just let that fool have it. Boom, hit him. I guess you hit the ground, I don't know. But the second dude came, and I remember he had this knife, you know, he had like one of those buck knives that you carry, you know, it's not that long, but he went to stab me with it, and I just stuck my hand out, you know, like, and for some reason his fucking fist hit right in my hand, and the fucking knife just like right between the fingers. I mean, it was right there where I had it, and I was like, what the fuck? I had his hand, and I said, I hit him about two, 3 times on the side right here with his leg, and he falls down, right? He falls down. Well, when he falls down, another dude's coming to rush me, and so he comes to rush me, I just swing that thing, and I swear, man, this shit hit like right on the top of his forehead, back into his head like this, and that shit's pretty big. It's about like that, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? It's gonna do some damage. They're really sharp. If you've seen them and you look at the motherfuckers, they're like a Ginsu fucking, you know, they call it the meat cleaver. Well, I hit this dude, and it hits his head, boom. And as soon as he hits his head, you know, I feel somebody grabbing me, I guess to stop me, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people, but remember, there's a lot of women there. There's not really many men there, because it's the baby shower. So as he pulls me back, I remember, man, I go back, and I just feel that blade just come out. Like, it made a weird noise, like, and as soon as it came out, blood just squirt. Now, when the blood squirt all on me, on my face, you know what I mean? My hands, all my shirt, my pants, his blood squirt on me, and I was like, what the fuck? When I came to, I'm looking around, man, and I'm like, what the fuck? What's going on? I can't see because the blood's in my eyes, in my face, so I'm trying to wipe it out. I'm trying to look, and when I look to the side, the first dude that initially, the one that slapped my aunt, my head pauses, I gotta get this fool, you know, because I'm not done with him. You know what I mean? His homeboy, I can't, so he stopped the process for me fucking this dude off. Well, as soon as I turned around to look, there's this guy and his homies, the other 2 that were there, they pick him up, and when they pick him up off the floor, you know, when they pick him up, it reminds me of when the Incredible Hulk, you know, when he gets real big and then he gets down to regular man size again, his clothes are just shredded. Well, this is how that fool looked when they picked him up. His clothes were just hanging from his body, I guess. When I hit him with that thing, later I found out that I hit him a lot of times, but it's like a big razor blade. So I guess when I was going through it, wasn't really feeling anything, but you know, when you cut yourself with a razor blade, it gets like white and then pink and then blood comes out, seeps real slow, you know, because remember, I want to get this dude again. I didn't think I got him too good. Apparently I got him real good because he was in the hospital for like 2-3 days, you know what I mean? And he had he has a gang of slices on him. The other dude got the forehead shot, you know? And it's trippy because all these dudes, you know, back when I was growing up, you know, these 3 guys right here were some pretty tough, you know, motherfuckers out of their hood, out of their area, you know? One of the dudes there, you know, I always don't say no names, give no names to who it is, you know, I'm just letting it be known this is some real shit. These fools right here were, how could we say, erasing motherfuckers as we're going along, you know what I mean? That's the best way I can say it, you know? And I knew this, and a couple of these people that these guys got were my childhood friends, you know what I mean? And, you know what I mean, I always wanted to get this dude, but I always had to be cautious because these guys, man, they just held weapons, man. They all went and did life sentences. I think one of them did like 20 and got out a couple years back. But, you know, when I got these dudes, once I came to and I was standing, I seen them walk this guy away. I looked to the side and I remember the look in my not just my aunt's eyes, but my mother-in-law was there, my sister-in-law, you know, and they're all sitting around and they're just looking at me, and I can imagine how I look, man. You know what I mean? I'm fucking full of blood. I did this to these dudes. And I was like, man, I'm like, I'm gonna marry I wanna marry this lady's daughter. And this lady just seen me, you know, chop these 3 dudes up with a fucking meat cleaver. And, you know, the reason I did it really was because the way the dude reached back and he slapped my aunt, you know, he slapped her pretty good, you know what I mean? He slapped her very well. You know, well, the way I found out about the guy that I got, the first one I got is because my aunt had to go to the doctor to sew her hand up, you know what I mean? And they tried to connect the shit, whatever, but it didn't work. Well, these dudes I knew after that I had to look out for them, you know, I had to watch them, you know, make sure they didn't come and get me. And eventually, I was kicking back, it was like midnight. And I'm kicking back right there with the homie, we're smoking some shit, and then I tell him, man, I'm gonna go upstairs real quick. So, you know, as I go upstairs, I'm gonna go get my thing I put away. You know, I had put it behind the heater in the house, I'm going to get it. And all of a sudden, outside, I hear some voices. So I go to the back window and I look out, and lo and behold, it's fucking two of the guys that came that one day, two of them right there, they got these two fools that I was kicking it with. And I see this dude with a shotgun. He has the shotgun out on one of the guys, man, and he's questioning him. And I'm looking down and I'm like, man, my mother-in-law is sleeping in the next room. If I go out my window and I shoot at these dudes, man, I'm going to get caught. You know what I mean? Everybody's going to get up. I'm going to get caught. I live here. I can't do that. So I listen in, man, and I hear this dude telling this guy, man, he's asking for me. I'm like, fuck. He's asking for me. The dude's telling him that it's not him. The dude's showing him his tattoos and shit because the dude's from East LA. So he's showing him tattoos and shit, and the dude tells him, yeah, well, you know, you let Johnny know that we're coming looking for him. So I was like, man, you know what I mean? Now it's getting to something bigger, you know what I mean? And he has this other dude with him that's kind of older, and I'm like, oh, wait up, you know what I mean? He brought his older homie with him, you know what I mean? Something must be amiss here. So I go and I want to investigate what the fuck is going on because I'm curious because the older guy came, you know, I'm a youngster like this dude, you know, we're dealing with our mess, and this older guy's getting involved. I want to find out what's going on. Well, I had some family members that were from that hood. So I questioned, you know, what was going on. Lo and behold, I find out that this guy told his homies that I caught him. I set him up in the backyard in his school. You know what I mean? I told him to come over and kick it and get high and drink and all that. It's all bullshit because we don't get along. I would never tell a guy to come kick it with me. I know his reputation. I know what he's capable of. I mean, I heard through the grapevine for $5, he fucking awesome fool. You know what I mean, for $5. And I was like, man, this dude's real treacherous. So I would have never invited that fool anywhere. You know what I mean? I would never took him with me anywhere, did he? But he stayed at that. So now his older homies, they're looking for me now. So I'm like, wait up, man. This fool went and lied on this shit, you know. Never ever did he ever put in there that he put hands on my aunt. He never ever put that in there. But I knew that was my ace in the hole, you know. Once he did that act right there, I could have did anything I wanted to him. So you know what I mean? He was gonna be in trouble anyways. But once I seen his homies and they came strapped up to get me, you know what I mean? They came to get me. I was at a barbecue pit, you know what I mean? I had a little something with me, but there was about 5 of them. They all had straps and they came to get me, you know. And I told the older dude that was there, I told him, man, you know, the only reason I did that to him was because, you know, he put hands on my aunt. He slapped my aunt. The older dude looked at me like, what do you mean? And he said, who's your aunt? I told him who my aunt was. He knew exactly who she was because she was married to one of his homeboys years back. So he go and they get this fool and, you know, they tell him and whatever, he gives his story, whatever. And I don't see these fools no more. Well, I get busted and I was on the run for that shit. I told you when I get busted. And I get to the county, I'm in the chow hall and I'm eating and I see this fool walk in. I'm like, oh, I got him. I'm in the county, I got I got this fool. Well, I told him, you know, hey, meet me at the escalator, you know, because I seen him, I told him, hey, man, you talking? Come on, meet me at the escalator. And I figured he was gonna come. Because he's a gang member, you know, he's with the business. But sometimes out there on the streets, and many people know that anybody could pull a trigger out there, anybody. You know, there's any people out there pull triggers 15, 14 years old, they just pull it just because they wanna see somebody get hurt, you know what I mean? Me, I was kind of different, you know, and the only reason I got a weapon that one time was because of the fact that these guys had a reputation of doing bad things to people. And I didn't want to be one of those statistics where they got me and they got me good. Another thing was from the beginning when he came and, you know, he entered a baby shower. He didn't enter no party. There was no DJ, motherfucking lights and everything going on. So, you know, he came to hurt me, so I hurt him, you know what I mean? And I found out how they were, you know. I seen the dude later in time. He didn't come to the escalator that time I called him in the county. He didn't come, you know, and he knows who he is, so I'm not sitting up here bullshitting about him. He didn't come, and after that, way after that, I seen him again, you know what I mean? And we were right, you know, in one tank, he was on the other tank, and he was talking shit, and I told him, show these fools what I did to you, take your shirt off, you know, and he took it off, and this who had zippers that were tattooed on him. I guess everywhere I sliced him with the meat cleaver, he had zippers on there tattooed, and he had a lot of zippers, man. This fool had a lot of zippers, and I know he was upset. You know, he got more upset when I told him take your shirt off in the holding tank, and the homies were in there with him, so he had to take his shirt off. He had no choice, but that's what he gets for having a big mouth, you know. This dude, I heard that he went and did 20-something years, and he got out, you know, recently, you know. So, you know, parts of being a gangster, like I always say, there's good parts and there's bad parts. I didn't enjoy hurting this dude, Mark, but the thing about it is that the steps he took, the things he did, only made me, you know what I mean, I had an obligation to take care of this fool, you know what I mean? And, you know, I mean, stabbing this fool that many times, I feel that he had it coming, but at the same time, you know, afterwards I felt kind of bad that I did that, you know, because a lot of times when I did shit, being a gangster and growing up the lifestyle that I went through with all my family being gang members, a lot of the shit I did, I didn't do it because I really liked doing it. I did it because by obligation, I knew that if I didn't do it, you know, I would get scolded by my family, you know, not just my hood, but by my family. And they're all my homies, and I wasn't gonna come home saying I didn't do this or I didn't do that because, you know, when I didn't want to. No, most of the shit I did because by obligation, you know what I mean? And that was part of being a gangster. And I think that comes kind of on the bad side because sometimes you don't feel like doing shit, and sometimes shit just comes up. You know what I mean? You know, situations come up like that one, you know what I mean? And I didn't go look for nobody, start no shit. This dude came because his homegirl told him because she was upset because I'm messing with both of them, her and her homegirl. So they get upset, tell their homie where I'm at, you know, and he comes over here to get me, but lo and behold, I got his ass, you know what I mean? And those stories come back to me when I meet people from when I was a youngster. I seen a dude the other day and he told me, man, you know, we're rapping and this story came up to my head and I was like, ooh, I gotta tell Mark about this one because this one right here was a good one, you know? They just pop in my head simultaneously and, you know, I share them because, not just because I glorify being a gang member or I glorify being from a gang. Nah, it's more or less like this happened in my life and it's the truth. And, you know, these dudes didn't die or get really, you know what I mean, but have brain damage or they ain't no more. No, they're back normal and everything. I'm back normal and everything. But this just happened to us, you know what I mean, because of the lifestyle we chose, you know what I mean? And being a gangster, I've seen a lot of videos, I look at a lot of videos and, you know, a lot of people glorify it and keep glorifying it, you know what I mean? They never tell you about the bad side. You know, they always tell you about the good side. You know, you gotta know about the bad side because a coin has two sides to it, you know what I mean? And I come and share it, you know what I mean, just, you know what I mean, to take you there, Mark. You know, I try to make you feel like you're part of that scene because, you know, as I tell these stories, you know what I mean, more and more come to my head, you know what I mean, like, oh, the next week this happened, the next week, and a lot of times I forget it. But a lot of times I see people and I remember, ooh, I know him. I remember this happening. There are stories that I want to tell because of the fact that people need to hear shit like that. People need to hear shit that there is a reality over here on this side. You know what I mean? It's not just all fucking glamour. You know what I mean? You know, I'm a gangster. Look at me. You know, it's not like that. There's a lot of parts where, damn, you know what I mean? Now this dude did 20 years. He got out now. That happened right before he got busted. So he could have held this shit on all this time, all along, you know, but like I said, I don't watch over my back or look over my shoulder, and I ain't got time for that shit. You know what I mean? That's too much time consuming. I just keep strolling, but he knows, you know, he knows where I'm at. He probably watched this and see it, you know what I mean? And he knows it's the truth. I just wanted to share with you today, Mark, you know what I mean? Something like that for you, you know? That one's for you, Mark, huh?
All right, Johnny.
All right, Mark?
Excellent, man.
Hey,
Always
Mark,
excellent.
I'm telling you, man, I got some good shit. Mark, when I come back, oh, yeah, that's what I'm building. This shit, that's it. I want to give you more that I remember. I'm trying to get them to where, you know, like the dudes when I hit them, man.